everyone, and welcome to Community Connections. My name is Marnie Yule. I'm your host from the Prescott Valley Chamber of Commerce, along with Mark and Eddie here today, kicking off our March. March roars in like a lion, as the song says, and it really has these past few days. Windy, and then there's been rain, and then there's been snow, but hopefully it'll calm down, because I know we all have this case of the spring fever, and so we'll look forward to warmer weather. But great show today. Got some great guests. Always great things happening in not only Prescott Valley, but the community-wide area, and that's why we're called Community Connections, making sure everybody gets on here and connects with those of you watching so you know what's happening. My first guest is Leslie Jenkins. She is the Regional Director for the Alzheimer's Association.
Hi, Marnie.
Hi, Leslie. Good to see you.
So
welcome.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Good to have you. I think the last time we talked, you were going to be having your Alzheimer's, your walk.
Had our Alzheimer's walk, and then we actually were able to be here last month with Gloria, talking about education, but there's so much going on with the Alzheimer's Association.
Well, with that, I'm just going to let you start, because I know so many of us have been touched or are currently being touched by those family members, friends that might be suffering from Alzheimer's or forms of dementia, and
exactly.
I think we all know somebody now.
We truly do, and in the time that I've been with the association, it's been over a year now. Still so honored to be working and doing the important work that we do. But that is the case. More often, anytime that I've come in contact with someone, explained to them what I'm doing, they either have had direct contact or indirect contact with someone that has Alzheimer's or a related dementia.
Right.
I think that that's a huge, it's a stigma, unfortunately, for many when they're diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And so where we're trying to engage and connect them with resources, many times they revert and become very isolated because of the disease. And the fact that many people don't realize that Alzheimer's is a dementia. It's interesting going into health fairs and the like, where sometimes people will say, oh, I don't have Alzheimer's, I have dementia. And so even just that stigma of not wanting to associate with Alzheimer's, but understanding that Alzheimer's is a dementia, it's the most prevalent dementia. So we estimate about 60 to 70% of those who are diagnosed with dementia have Alzheimer's. And the way that I explain it is, dementia is to cancer as Alzheimer's would be to prostate cancer or breast cancer. It is a specific form of dementia. And so for us at the Alzheimer's Association, we are here offering free programs and services to the community, in addition to what people probably most know us for is research. But outside of research, it's really providing support along the way as people are diagnosed, and then they're seeking help to be able to get the services that they need.
So are those resources and services directed to the person with the diagnosis, or in many cases, the family, friends, they become caregivers? Are those resources for them?
Very, very good point. Our services are really geared towards the caregiver. Because we find that more often those who are providing care are the family members. They are the unpaid workers. The statistics are staggering when we know and learn about those who are providing that care and support. And so often, they themselves become isolated. One, they do the work, as they should and want to, because that's what you're supposed to do, but not
And that's what you want to do.
Exactly.
You want to care for your loved one.
And not realizing that there are resources that are out there for them. One of the things we say at the Alzheimer's Association, especially when it comes to caregivers and their loved ones, is you're not alone. And so often people are assuming that this is only happening to them, that no one else is going through. And because they become so isolated, they miss that opportunity to engage.
Right.
So for us at the Alzheimer's Association, we are looking for ways to engage and provide resources and support to the caregivers. And by providing them with support, then they can more effectively provide support and care care to their loved ones.
Right,
Because, because with so many who have the disease, more often you find that the person who is diagnosed with dementia oftentimes outlives their caregiver because of the stress and worry that they take on. So for us, we're able to provide education programs in the community as well as support groups for caregivers. And it's a beautiful thing when we see, once we can get someone to come to a support group, because oftentimes, oh, I don't need that, I don't have time for that, I can work through this myself. But once they get to that support group and they're seeing that there are others in the community that are going through the exact same thing that they're going through, it definitely changes the trajectory of how they are able to cope.
They're not alone.
They are not alone.
Right.
And the same thing with our education. So we're very fortunate to have a wonderful partnership with the Prescott Valley Library. So we offer a monthly, or a weekly support group here in the Prescott Valley Library. Yes, on Mondays at 10 a.m. And then we're offering educations here at the library as well, twice in the month of March as well as April. So this is a great opportunity for people who want to come and get general information about the different facets of Alzheimer's, that they can get it in a very informal and non-invasive way to learn about the works of Alzheimer's and its impact.
Yes. So the support group is on Mondays at 10 o'clock.
10 a.m. in the cool room in the PV library. And then our educations are held in the evenings at 5:30 in the crystal room. There are information that is available at the library. People can also contact our 1-800 number, 1-800-272-3900. They can get information from our family care consultants about it, and they can also visit the website to be able to get details on when those are happening.
And what's your website?
Our website is alz.org, and they can do a search for Desert Southwest or Arizona and educations, and it'll direct them right to us.
But if they're watching the show right now, and we've talked about this support group being on Monday mornings at 10 o'clock, can they just show up?
They can.
They just don't. No reason. You don't need to register. There's no charge to attend. They just can show up.
These are free programs and services that we provide. So they can show up. We will ask them to sign what we call a participant form, and that's just for us to get general information about it.
One more time, the website.
It is alz.org.
Leslie Jenkins, thank you for bringing this to us, Alzheimer's Association. Short break. We'll be right back.
My grandma always says everyone counts, and everyone who lives with us is special. Like my aunt, who took me on my first bus ride to the library, or my older cousin, who walked me to my first day of school, even my mom's friend and her baby who live with us.
The census informs funding for schools, roads, healthcare, and more. So count everyone in your home, including all children on the 2020 census. It's your chance to help them for the next 10 years. You can respond online, by phone, or by mail. Shape your future. Start here. Learn more at 2020census.gov.
You can't text and pay attention to the world around you, and you definitely can't text and drive. Every year, deaths due to distracted and negligent driving are increasing. In fact, while drunk driving rates have dropped greatly, negligent driving fatalities have skyrocketed. Find out more at negligentdriving.com.
And welcome back to Community Connections. My next guest is Jody Mullins. She is the Community Service Officer with Prescott Valley Police Department. And we're talking about one of those things that we have to bring forward all the time, scams and, fraud, anything that takes advantage of the more vulnerable in our community.
Yeah, we were very happy to be able to present to the community a program that should hopefully enlighten our community as far as the many scams and frauds that are going on. I can't tell you the number of reports we take on a weekly basis where people come in and it's the intentions of the people are good, and it ends up, bad for them. And one of the worst things to try to correct is identity theft. And sometimes it takes years. And over the holidays, we had probably, just throwing a rough, maybe $100,000 in a week that people would spend that they were cheated out of. And
Now, is this like the phone ones that they call you and said, oh, this is the IRS, and if,
Yeah. Yes.
I did, I had one of those. My cell phone rings, didn't recognize the number. I, just answered this, and it kind of cuts in right in the middle of it. It says,
Right.
you will be prosecuted. And I thought, oh, well, no. And you hang up. But so many people, it scares you because they do sound intimidating.
Well, the newest one going around is an APS scam where they'll get a phone call and the number actually comes from the APS office, and it'll say, that you need to pay your bill, or your electricity is going to be shut off, and people call another number, which is the fraud number, and
Right.
they are out $300 or $400 at a time, and
Because are they giving their bank their information or credit card information?
Sometimes they do.
Oh, okay.
And we were very lucky. Our community service outreach portion of the police department is always trying to find new ways of bringing information to the community.
Right.
And I mean, figure the best defense is a great offense. And if we can equip people with knowledge, then they're in a better position to defend themselves. And we're very lucky that Betty Delano, who's the senior outreach coordinator from the Attorney General's office, is able to come up and give an hour presentation and hopefully take some of the fear out of it for our citizens.
So you're having a free to the public, basically, presentation.
Absolutely.
On consumer scams and identity theft. That's coming up when?
That is March 19th from 5 to 6, and there'll be a short question and answer period after. And we're really looking forward to it. She's amazing.
And this will be held where?
This is going to be held at the Prescott Valley Police, the new training room, right to the right side of the lobby. It's free of charge.
Let me ask you this, Jody. I mean, I think this is wonderful. I think it reaches a certain segment of our community, but I don't think I think there's additional needs to be done to reach more of that vulnerable part of the community that doesn't get out, or not driving around, or are elderly. Kind of how do we reach them?
Well, we are
because it seems like they're the ones that are the most vulnerable, as I say, and fall victim to the scams.
Absolutely.
They're lonely. Somebody calls them, they're buying into it.
Right, absolutely. We actually have plans that in the next week or two, we're going to target the senior centers and send flyers out of the library and really leave the station and go out into the public to give the information to people that we do realize are shut-ins or may not be on Facebook, may not always be out and about in the community, and encourage people to tell other people that that this program's going on.
I have thought too is maybe perhaps partnering up with Meals on Wheels.
That's a great idea.
And if you had that time
great
to,
idea.
start, I mean, I know how many, we have so many folks that take advantage and are able to use Meals on Wheels.
Right.
But how do you partner with that so that those people are actually going into the homes of those that don't get out and sit and talk with them and are there with them over a meal, making that connection and that, in many cases, welfare check. So perhaps that's a way to get some of those folks.
That's a great idea. We hadn't actually thought of that. And we're hoping to have another presentation in the fall before the holiday season, because that seems to be when a lot of the scams really kick into high gear, because people are doing a lot of holiday shopping.
Busy, you forget,
Right.
not paying attention.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully, and we have a lot of good things coming up in store for the community. We've had we have a new chief, and so we're really looking forward.
We need to get him on here. I haven't talked to him in a while. We need to get him on here.
We have our youth leadership coming up. We've got a new Citizens Academy coming up.
Yes.
And definitely the scams, and we're always looking for new ways to bring things out to the community. The scam presentation is just one, and we've had a really great response. I mean, they're advertising it in Prescott, all over Yavapai County.
Right.
So we're really looking forward to a good program.
So let's remind everybody when this one is coming up.
It is Thursday, March 19th, from 5 to 6 p.m. It's first come, first serve. There's no reservations. It's just everybody come.
No charge.
No charge. Bring your questions, and Betty Delano will be there to answer whatever questions people have.
And it looks like the presentation topics, the most recent scams going around.
Right.
And what red flags to watch out for, like
Right.
unidentified numbers on your phone. What is identity theft?
Right.
What citizens can do to prevent from becoming a victim. Be skeptical. I mean, that's just to me, It's
Right.
like, if it's too good to be true, it's probably true. And if they're asking for account numbers, nobody does that.
Right.
So, and then what to do in the event that someone does become a victim of identity theft. And obviously the first thing to do would be call your local police department.
Well, I think that the biggest thing that I would probably say to people is that no reputable business is going to want you to repay them in gift cards. And that
In gift cards.
in gift cards. I mean, that's the big thing, is that they want to be paid in Target or Walmart gift cards. Nobody does that.
Right.
And then at some point you have to determine, like we had a lady that came in that was at $11,000 to fix her computer. And at some point you just have to think, maybe I just need a new computer.
Right. And there's, unfortunately, there are those that take advantage of folks,
Right.
just the way it is.
And yeah, we're doing everything we can to try to help people not be victims, and we're always available. I mean, Monday through Friday, call, and if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Okay, so what number should they call? Because we definitely want them to go into the regular number right into the police
Well,
department.
928-772-5164.
And can they talk directly to you, or
Yep.
is it anybody?
They can directly to me, or if they have a question, I can. Somebody will be there to answer.
Okay, Jody Mullins is over there, so you want to give her a call. But again, you want to make sure you put this on your calendar, and this is great information, and I think I would like to include this in our e-flash to let the
Absolutely.
community members that subscribe to the Chamber's information to get it out so they'll know what's going on, too. And again, it's so important.
It is, and hopefully, if we have one person, then we've done our job.
If you have one person save $11,000, I
Yep.
think you have done your job.
Absolutely.
Okay. Jody Mullins with the Prescott Valley Police Department. Again, upcoming presentation, consumer scams and identity theft. That is Thursday, March 19th from 5 to 6 p.m. in the Prescott Valley Department Training Room, Police Department Training Room. So thank you, Jody, for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, short break. We'll be right back here on Community Connections.
I think it goes around.
Come on, buddy.
I'm here for you. Oh, it's gonna be great. Look, look. Why is this so hard?
Let's go. We gotta get you in practice.
I read it. Look, and it's set.
And welcome back to Community Connections. I'm really thrilled with my next guest. It's an organization we haven't really had on the show before, and that is the Arizona Archaeological Society, the Yavapai chapter. And joining us is Warner Wise, who's a board member of that chapter, and Andy Christensen, who's an archaeologist. And as you can see, Andy and Warner brought us a little sampling of some of the artifacts that we have in our area. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, tell me about the Yavapai chapter of the Arizona Archaeological Society. Obviously, the AAS, that's the mothership, and every areas have chapters.
That's correct.
Okay.
The AAS began back in probably I should have more details about this, in the 70s.
1964.
Okay.
Oh, it's actually fairly early.
Okay.
And the idea was they had a chapter in Phoenix, and they decided, because there was enough interest around the state, that they would have chapters in different areas of the state. And the Yavapai chapter did not come into place until 1977.
All right.
But we've been around now 43 years and involved in a variety of archaeological activities.
So tell us a little bit about the chapter. It's membership-based, and anybody can join?
It's membership-based. Anybody can join. We have
It's $35 a month, a year for a single and $40 for a family.
Wow.
And we do meetings every month except for July and August and December. And we have a picnic in August, and in December we have our Christmas gathering type of thing. But it's we do field trips usually every month. We go to various sites, mainly prehistoric sites in the local area, but we also do some historical stuff as well. Archaeology's, more than just prehistoric, but we're mainly prehistoric in this area, and so we try to get out and show people places that wouldn't have access to otherwise.
Absolutely. That sounds fascinating. Everybody always loves to know about the roots of where you came from, where your community came from, and the land it's built on. So tell us a little bit about the sites that are located around this area.
Well, there are a variety of sites in this area. The term Prescott culture is often used for the people in this area who would have been present during the agricultural period. But prior to agriculture, there would have been what are called archaic people living in the area. And in fact, one of the few excavated archaic sites in this area was found when they were putting in Glassford Hill Road.
Oh. So was it actually an area that was inhabited?
It was like a campsite.
Okay.
Okay, because these earlier archaic people would not have had long-term structures. They would have been fairly mobile, but they would have had chipped stone tools because pottery wasn't present in this area at the time. So that's probably the earliest site that's been dealt with in this area.
Right.
And then as you go through time, agriculture arrived, pottery arrived, and you start getting sites in the later period, like Coyote Ruin, which is northeast of town.
Which we have a very beautiful book that's been the results of that.
So the chapter excavated that site. And so in the old days, starting in the 70s and going to around 2000, we excavated probably a little over a dozen sites in the area. Many of them were being threatened by development, which was going on. And so we excavated those and analyzed those, and the AAS has a publication series, and we published the results of those. Since that time, there's been legal issues with pretty much amateur archaeologists working on excavations, and so that has closed down considerably in the area, so that we're not doing much in the way of field.
So we don't have any active excavation sites at this time?
Not that I know of currently, no. Not in this area. And normally excavation would be done by firms, cultural resource firms these days.
Okay, so are you, as a chapter in the Arizona Archaeological Society, preservation and history and reporting and continuing to share the story?
Yes, we have a lot of artifacts that we preserve, and we work with the SMOCI, or the
I know you brought
Museum
some.
of Indigenous People.
Did we hide those? Okay.
This is not from one of our excavations. This vessel is from an excavation done at Fitzmaurice site, which is
right
in
up the
Fane
road.
Park.
Yes, we can. You actually can tour that.
We are one of the chapter members is currently involved with me. I'm curator at the museum, involved with reanalysis of this Fitzmaurice collection.
So this pot was found intact.
That's right. This it's been restored a little bit.
Well,
but it's typical of most pottery to be found broken, and so a little glue and such puts it together.
wow, it's a beautiful piece. Do you know how estimate how old that is?
Well, okay, so we're talking about most of the decorated pottery like this is after 1100.
Can you kind of open it a little bit
we can
show that so they can see the design? There you go.
It's an interesting design, So from, say, 1100 to 1300 period is when most of this pottery was being made. And prior to that, it would have been just plain pottery primarily.
And what other items are usually excavated from some of those sites?
Well, we have a great range of things. Because of time kind of causes perishable items to disappear,
Right.
things like wood and textiles and things like that. So pottery and chipstone and bone tools often
Right.
survive, even though they are organic. So you asked about kind of the activities we're involved in. We're involved a lot in having speakers talk about what's going on in the archaeology in the state. And then we go on our field trips. We were just up to a hilltop site out in Skull Valley this weekend, and we're going to Fitzmaurice Pueblo this month.
Right. So if somebody's interested in finding out more, I know you meet, you said the third Wednesday of every month at 6:30 in the Smokey Pueblo that is now at the renamed Museum of Indigenous People. Website for more information.
Yeah, the AZ, I think you have it there.
azarchsoc.org/Yavapai. Warner and Andy, thank you so much for joining us. We could talk for hours. Very interesting. Thank you. Okay. Have a great week.